The final update of the season just dropped, and it's packed with tons of storyline reveals. But on the horizon, what happened in the season's final event? And why is hope the key to everything in Chapter 6? Our battle again. While the local samurais have sided with the loopers, the odds are definitely not in our favor. There's only one final step left to break the demons' hold on the island. We must destroy the ancient artifact that gives them their power. But before we figure out how to stop the apocalypse, let's go back to where it all began. The story kicks off with the end of the Remix finale event. We saw Jones and Hope show up, right? They popped up on the sides and made their way to the Chapter 6 map. But they weren't just wandering around aimlessly. They're looking for something. They've got a mission. And of course, we're tagging along with them to figure out what's going on. The power of the reality core awakened the ancient magic, reopening the gates to the spirit realm. If you're curious about how the locals reacted to this, I've got some exclusive footage from a homie, Jonesy. After leaving the Chapter 5 island, Jonesy and Hope are on a mission to find a mysterious artifact that Hope compares to Pandora's box. Hope believes these powerful trinkets are just pieces of a much bigger puzzle, which leads the team to Oninoshima. Here, they meet Kendo, a local samurai, who, along with his brother Daigo and sister Jade, is already battling demons after the gates were reactivated. The portals to the spirit realm, which were thought to be mere relics of the past, are now being utilized by demons to invade our world. Before helping Kendo, we need to talk about his eldest brother, who is likely the one of the biggest villain of the season. To start, he's the heir to his grandfather's mask shop. The same grandfather who was the villain of ancient history. If we speak to him directly, he lies, saying that all the masks don't have magical powers. We stopped working with that stuff ages ago. We make masks of immense power, but ancestors burned the secrets of how to create them. As we can hear, he's incredibly ambitious about gaining power. He even admits to having powers himself because he's been practicing magic. These powers could be one of two types: void control, whose origins remain unknown, or spirit control, as the masks he is currently making possess this ability. The masks I just mentioned are not the ones sold in the shop. Instead, they are the Void Mask and the Fire Mask. To understand this, just look at the Daigo's loading screen. It clearly shows him constructing an Oni mask. Worse still, he has trapped sprites, indicating that he is actively creating masks with magic. He is therefore responsible for the existence of these weapons. But that's not the worst of it. He also has the ability to repair ancient pieces with gold, a technique traditionally used in Japan. The problem here is that he hasn't just used this skill to repair masks, he's also seemingly used it to fix the dragon portals. In his Go loading screen, the caption reads, "A true artist uses every tool at their disposal without hesitation." This character, described by his siblings as selfish, proves their claims. In his quest to reclaim his grandfather's power to create these masks, he's condemning not just the island but also his family. Daigo also I burn with curiosity to see that world and the ancient secrets it might hold. However, not even I can cross the threshold yet. As you can see, while this is technically the hidden story, the clues are all there. The thing is, the Fox clan mastered the ancient art of creating masks, and these weren't just regular Halloween masks or party accessories. These were full-fledged magical artifacts that allowed many samurai to absorb the spiritual energy of Oninoshima. The Fox clan transformed their craft into true magic. In simple terms, they essentially invented an equivalent to Naruto's chakra. Everything seemed fine until a few mask makers created masks that were way too overpowered. These masks became such a threat that the other clans on Oninoshima declared war on the Fox clan, as their magic posed a real danger to the island. Leading the resistance was none other than the River Guardians. This clash, known as the War of Shadows, led to catastrophic destruction. The infighting among the clans caused the ancient masks to spiral out of control, opening a gateway to the spirit realm. At its center was an unknown shogun, a towering brute who now appears as the Rift Boss on the island. He's a fascinating character, essentially a shadow. However, his statues across the island indicate that he was once the leader of the demon clan, and now he seems to have returned from the dead, or something along those lines. So here's my theory. Shogun could be the grandfather of Daigo and his siblings. This idea makes sense since they frequently discuss the artisan, but never mention the clan leader, who might actually be the same individual. Aside from this theory, not much is known about Shogun. He's essentially a blank slate. Well, more like a black shadow, so he remains a mystery. Given his strength and presence on the island, it's likely he'll have a significant role in the story, or at the very least, loopers will recognize him for the impressive character he is. The same applies to Night Rose, even though we've been led to believe she's a villain. From the very start of Fortnite's new season, Night Rose is introduced as a key character in the storyline. But here's the catch: if you don't dig into the details, you'll barely know anything about her. Most of her lore is hidden in the smallest hints, making her one of the most mysterious characters yet. So, who is Night Rose? The story of this season kicks off with Kendo and Hope chasing Night Rose through the dark alleys of Seaport City. Right away, they notice something's off about her. Even when cornered in a dead end, she scales a building like it's nothing, totally defying logic. That's when they realize they're dealing with someone seriously dangerous. The chase takes them all over the map until Rose leads them into a trap. A portal opens, and out comes Shogun X, a giant demon ready to help her fight Kendo and Hope. We know she's a boss on the map, that players can fight for better loot. But something about her screams demonic, especially when you notice the creepy mask controlling her. Her in-game description reveals a major twist. Night Rose was once human. She was normal, just like everyone else, but she's now a demonic war demon. During fights, it's not Night Rose herself that's attacking you. It's the demon pulling the strings. This explains why her back bling is literally a puppet. And while she seems like the enemy, she's not inherently evil. She's just cursed, forced to fight under the demon's influence. Here's where it gets even deeper. Night Rose's lobby music tells her story, just like the music tracks we've seen for other lore-heavy characters like the Origin. In her music, we learn she's fully aware of her curse and desperately wants her freedom back. It's heartbreaking. She literally says, "I just want to get my freedom back." That's when it hits you. She's not just a boss to defeat. She's a tragic character trapped in a situation beyond her control. In-game, this idea is reinforced during battles. To truly defeat her, you don't shoot her. You target the mask controlling her. Occasionally, she'll regain brief moments of freedom, but the demon keeps dragging her back into the fight. When you finally defeat her, she regains full control of herself. Fortnite clearly wants players to understand the real enemy isn't Night Rose, it's the mask and the demon behind it. Early in the season, most of us were confused about how to fight her. Admit it, you were probably shooting at random things like the rings, the rooftops, or even at her, wondering why nothing was working. Turns out, the mask's glowing eyes are the weak point. Once you figure that out, it all clicks. There's also a cool Easter egg tied to her skin. If you use the Night Rose skin to visit Jade, who's currently trapped in the demon realm, she'd say something like, "We all deserve our freedom." It's a subtle nod to Night Rose's story and the emotional depth behind her character. Honestly, it's moments like these that make Fortnite lore so intriguing. They've created a character who's not just a boss, but a layered, tragic figure with a story worth exploring. Even Jade knew that Night Rose wasn't a bad person. She knew Night Rose deserved to be free. Her name says it all. Rose, a perfect flower, something beautiful and normal at its core. But then there's the night, symbolizing how she's been consumed by something dark and... Now here's the wild part. Night Rose is on the map, and you can actually gear up and face her. If you fight is no joke. It's long, challenging, and emotional because you're not just fighting her. You're fighting the demon controlling her. And here's where it gets intense. During the fight, you'll notice something in the audio that really hits you. When you're fighting her, Night Rose's voice is completely demonic. It's harsh, angry, and terrifying. But the moment you defeat her, when the demon's grip loosens, you'll hear her real voice. A voice filled with desperation and agony. It's haunting. You realize that she's been trapped this whole time, screaming for help, but unable to break free. I mean, listen to this. That first voice, pure demonic rage. But now listen when the demon lets go for a moment. You hear the real Night Rose, the human, pleading and broken. It's devastating to realize how much she's been suffering. And here's the crazy part. When you finally take her down, you free her. You break the demon's control, and you can hear it in her voice. She sighs with relief, like she's finally free after being trapped for so long. It's subtle, but there's this echo of happiness in her sigh, like she's breathing freely for the first time. Did you hear that? It's such a powerful moment, and it shows just how much depth Fortnite has put into her story. But here's where things get even darker. After you beat the boss and free Night Rose, the demon leaves behind a medallion, the same one that controlled her. And when you pick it up, something terrifying happens. The medallion emits a sound, and suddenly, you're the one being possessed. It's like the demon transfers its curse to you, and you become the new host. It's such a wild twist, and honestly, it's mind-blowing to think about the layers Fortnite has added to this character and event. This storyline is absolutely next level. Night Rose's fight isn't just about gameplay, it's about understanding her pain and breaking her free from the demon's clutches. But in doing so, you risk becoming the next victim. Fortnite really went all out with the storytelling here, and it's honestly one of the most intense and emotional boss fights in the game. But we can dive even deeper into this lore, because while we've covered Night Rose's story, there's still so much more to uncover. Now we know the demon we see in the air is the one controlling her, right? That much is clear. But here's where things get wild. If you look at this demon, it resembles a mask. And masks have been a huge deal this season. Think back to Raz. Remember his mask? He had one attached to his waist. At times, the last reality could have been experimenting with masks infused with the same energy that later powered the cubes. These masks might have been their foundation, the origin of their power. Fast forward to this season. Remember when Dago created a mask for his little sister Jade? The Masked Meadows? When it was introduced, we saw purple smoke rising from the basements connected to it. That smoke, that energy, it might just be the same type of power linked to the cubes. Even the Cube Queen, when you think about it, had elements of a mask. Look closely at her design. Her face looks like it's partially fused with a mask, with horns and pieces of it becoming part of her. It's possible that masks are the literal foundation of the last reality's power, shaping everything they've created since. This brings us back to Night Rose. If masks really are that deeply tied to the last reality's origins, it might explain the demon's connection to her. And who knows, there could be even more to uncover. In future story quests, we might finally learn more about Night Rose and her connection to all of this. For example, I found some flames in Demon's Dojo in replay mode that don't currently appear in the game. Stuff like this often hints at upcoming story quests that haven't been activated yet. Maybe hints everywhere, and it's only a matter of time before we learn the full truth. But at least now you have a general understanding of what we're dealing with. While Hope and Jones are busy battling demons, they're missing one critical detail. Where did the reality core fragment even come from? And more importantly, where did it go? Something tells me that fragments of what was once the most powerful object in the multiverse don't just randomly travel between dimensions, let alone land in places capable of activating sealed gates that unleash hordes of demons. I'm almost 100% sure this is all part of some incredibly well-planned scheme. If Charlie Wen learned anything from the mistakes of Chapter 5, we likely won't see the true villain behind all these events anytime soon. Or at least I really hope that's the case. Just think back to Chapter 5 and its underwhelming villains. Each one of them had the potential to be far more interesting. But the most frustrating part has to be how epic completely botched Dr. Doom's arc. At the start of the season, they hyped him up as this ultra-powerful force who effortlessly took down the Avengers, Ultron, Thanos, and even Galactus. But by the end of the season, he got taken out by regular loopers with basic weapons. Seriously? How many times can they pull this? I can't be the only one who feels this way. If you agree, let me know. But let's get back to the reality core. Data miners have already uncovered parts of future quests, where we'll be hunting for the 0-point fragment, not just as a fun collectible, but to forge an overpowered sword capable of defeating the mysterious Shogun. What's even more interesting is that this sword might end up being given to Night Rose. At least, that's the conclusion we can draw from the leaked storyline challenges. If that's the case, we may finally be able to free Night Rose from Oni's control and have her join the loopers in the fight against the demons. Speaking of the reality core fragments, they can actually be spotted on one of the new loading screens, which shows one of the fragments we're currently searching for. In the background, you can also see Kendo, who is likely teaching Hope how to control her powers. So now, those seemingly random graffiti predicting the future are turning out to be proper hints that players can use. That said, Hop hasn't entirely given up her street art, as her graffiti can still be found in various locations across the island. The question remains, are these drawings prophetic, or is there something else going on? It's hard to say for now, but if there are any breakthroughs or secrets tied to the new island, we'll be sure to share them. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and if anything new comes up, we'll post about it on my channel, where breakdowns of teasers, trailers, and other major news go up as soon as they're announced. Huge respect to everyone who made it this far into the video, and most importantly, have an absolutely amazing rest of your day,